Of course, we do, however, see Game Ward on that blue side. So this changes some priorities. We are seeing the Caitlyn ban on the blue side. We have known, of course, typically in drafting, red side is where you get a lot of your power picks put into that ban phase. You don't want to be first picked. You get to put a bit more flavor into your bans when you're on blue side, and that Caitlyn has been one of those against Crownie.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons Game Ward has been so afraid of letting BDS Academy be on red is because of the fact that giving counter pick to Adam is so threatening, but they've said, you know, we're just gonna have to deal with it. We'll have to do the best we can possible, have a bit more directed bans, but also that first pick can be so huge because now BDS Academy, do they have to ban the Azir, right? Which we've seen both these teams heavily contesting. Yes, so it's taking away a ban from BDS and giving one to Game Ward with this side swap.
Dusty's gone. It's BDS Academy again. I thought we flipped the script. I thought, you know what? We're just going to throw everything out the window and just try something different.
It would be fairly crazy to sub out
an entire roster.
An entire roster which has gone undefeated at the tournament and also is looking like tournament favorites right now.
Yeah, but are they going to Worlds? That's the question, you know. I gotta question this thing. But we have now seen the Sejuani take off, so it looks like for the side of Game Ward, they don't even want it themselves. They want a different matchup in that jungle.
Something interesting though is we often see BDS Academy would pick the Sejuani or the Poppy and ban Trundle. They haven't even been doing that, but like Game Ward have realized that Trundle isn't enough of an answer to these champions. Too much pressure is applied by them by Shio. He's so good at playing for his team, and so as a result, they heavily banned out the jungle pool and now can prioritize first pick. Someone to notice a Lucian left open and available, and they'll take that.
But I think this is still leaving a problem on this top side of the map, because one of the things that BDS Academy fell prey to within particularly the finals was that Ragnar on LDLC would just lock in the Sejuani and say, I'm going to nullify lane. And that is something which gave Adam a lot of problems. Now, if you're choosing not to pick that in and you still don't have a lane nullifying pick in that top side, I don't think that problem is going to get any better for you. You've tried versatile bots, you tried volatile bots. It's not really worked out for you. You have to have another area of the map which is stabilized at the very least, so the map isn't going to fall apart.
And I love what we're seeing here from the side of BDS and saying, look, we don't. Yeah, I was going to say do it. But it's like they don't care about the Lucian matchup. They're saying, look, we have faith in the Aphelios. Crownie has been exceptional on the pick throughout. And the thing I was just about to say was that when you first pick the Lucian, you means you leave open another pick to be taken away. The Vi is so easy now for them to pick up. And they talked about it on the pre-game today between Mata and Trouble. This thing is just insane in either of these junglers' hands, and BDS Academy got it.
Yeah, I mean, they were banning this entire series, and now they have it. Good answer to Lucian. If he ever steps up trying to go aggressive, trying to pick, you have that point-and-click stun. And now the expectation is going to have the Nami come in. The question is, what will they take in the jungle?
Ooh.
Looks like the Wukong, they were hovering that Morgana. We have seen that counter pick. Kanavi has brought it out. We saw it originally in the LCK, though. Pyosik? How do you pronounce it? Pyosik. And I think Canyon have brought it out as well. But here, they will end up taking the Wukong into the Vi, which has been a pretty frequent matchup to split. And we end up getting the Lulu, which generally speaking does a decent job in a Lucian Nami at mitigating some of that burst.
So I want to go back to this Wukong, because this has been mysteriously absent from this series so far, and it was a huge pick in the quarterfinals. You saw LELC Dusty. Effectively, whoever had the Wukong won that game. It gives you early power, gives you the ability to fight around stuff like the Herald with your big team fight ultimate. Now, maybe it gives you this kind of bridge from not just being an early game champion like the Lee Sin or something like that, but also giving you that power in the team fights, which Game Ward have been lacking so far.
Well, we got the final few picks coming in. Next few bans going to be the next setup here. And this is the thing now for BDS Academy. This is what we were probably what Game Ward were so afraid of now, is that you're now into the second round of rotation of bans and picks. You can ban away mid laners, first pick whichever one you want, and leave that counter pick for top.
Yeah, and I feel like for Game Ward, yes, there are mid laners you'd love to ban against Rika, but there is no way you're throwing mid lane bans here, and that's just something super egregious. Top lane has been such a problem. They're taking away the Aatrox. Do they ban the Darius? Potentially could be something they don't want to deal with as well, especially as Adam having counter pick is so hard to match up into.
Yeah, I think particularly with that Darius, maybe you have to leave it up, I feel like, because at least you have the Nami tidal wave. You have some ways to zone out of the team fight. You've got the Lucian, which can play with the culling at range 2. It's a harder game in some ways for the Darius to play around, even though it has been played in this game. But still, Adam, I think the problem is now that he's always going to have another pick. In fact, I was speaking with SK Prime's coach a little bit, and he was just saying, like, man, he just always has another pick. It's super annoying to draft against. And now you just leave him to the last pick. And what does he do here? I mean, yeah, you banned away some choice champions. He's going to have more.
Yeah, we see the Victor come out, something we have seen banned against Rika in second rotation a few times in the last game in particular. And now, I mean, I feel like you want to have power in the mid jungle for Game Ward, so if you have a pick available for Shekelab that can give you that, that'd obviously be paying dividends. But it looks like for Melonic, they're just like, look, we need you to be as stable as possible. Darius is gone. Aatrox is gone. Can you handle with an Ornn pick?
Can you survive whatever might come into this one here? So Ornn locked and loaded for Melonic, which again, played the Akali in game one, had a decent mid game, very shaky in the early game, but just couldn't make it stick towards the later stages. Game number two, picked up the Aatrox against the Darius of Adam, just couldn't have the same level of presence. Now he's on something that is just a big team fighter, something that can kind of move forward. However, with Adam having counter pick, there's plenty on the board here for him to go for. I do think they need a little bit more engaged on the side of BDS Academy, so we'll be looking towards maybe the more tankier versions of those top laners that we know and love.
Now, Game Ward have picked an awful lot of range there. They have backline access, they have some disengage, they have ways to split the fight, but I'm still kind of worried because, yeah, you got a Corki, you got the Lucian. If I ever tags you, it's still going to be really rough, and Game Ward have not quite had the early game proficiency to really shut out BDS from finding their right entrances into team fights as well, put them behind to the point where those engages are difficult to make. I look at Sheo on this Vi, and I think even though you have range, even though you have the ability to play through strong lanes like your bot side, I'm worried about those team fights yet again. Yeah,
I mean, I feel like the fact as well that Game Ward have two carries, right? You know, you have a tank at the top lane who can obviously do work with disruption, but like if Vi ults either the Corki or the Lucian, takes them out the fight, it's down to the other to really carry through. And with things like the Polymorph that can shut down targets, with the Gnar who can be such a pertinent threat, I think it might be a struggle. And a big thing for me is you're playing this Lucian army. You obviously want to try and pull out ahead in terms of lane, get your one-item spike and take over the map. But you have a Corki and a Viktor. We've seen that matchup countless times in spring, and Corki has received nerfs since then, right? To some of his scaling with like the AP that he has on his ultimate. Viktor's going to have pressure on that lane. Viktor's going to have pressure on that lane. I've seen time and time again where Viktor can even find kill opportunities, so you are not getting bailed out by your mid lane this game. It is all down to Game Ward's bot lane to make this happen, and the jungler to help out.
Yeah, I think the big thing now is that this is it for Game Ward. There are no best of fives. This is now a best of one 3 times in a row, basically, if you want to try and come out to this one, because you are 2-0 down. BDS Academy just stomping through the Amazon EU Masters Summer 2022, yet to see their Nexus explode all tournament. And now we jump onto the Rift, what could be the third and final time as Game Ward need to have an explosive game to make them sure they don't drop here.
Yeah, and what a knockouts run it has been from BDS Academy so far. I mean, this was the team that dropped out of groups in spring. Couldn't even get through into that knockout stage. And there's an LFL team. You hold yourself to high standards. You have to. The prestige of this region is really unprecedented within the ERL scene. And for them, as this group of individuals as well, that all really want to prove themselves, redeem themselves, this is a heck of a way to do it.
All right, we're going to look at the junglers because, again, the Sheo and Akabane matchup has been pretty damn pivotal so far in this series. But Sheo actually going with a single pot and a ward first in his first kind of inventory. So he wants information, Ox. He wants to know where his enemy is going to maybe either just counter or just straight up, you know, have that information for the rest of his lanes.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you don't always need both fillable stacks. A lot of junglers, you should just be able to clear healthy enough, and the one pot will do the job, and then having that information can make all the difference. I feel like Sheo has done such a fantastic job of supporting his lanes when they've had advantages, and we get a repeat, right? Adam, with the Gnar into the Ornn, is going to have the pressure advantage in that top lane matchup. He's going to scale into a monster in the side lane. Rika's going to have the advantage mid, and sure, you know, there's windows for Lucian Nami to pressure at level 3, but level 1, level 2, Crownie and Adote can apply pressure in return. Lulu, a pretty hard champion to deal with just with that picks damage on her autos.
And actually, when you have lanes in the 2v2 with the Lucian Nami where you are kind of losing at level 1, level 2, you can just go towards the first strike. It means that you have less ability to really burst out at that level. But when it comes to mid-game, you have more ability to run people down in the mid lane, tag them with a W with the Gale Force, and chase them down with the Culling. So, see that Game Ward likely going to have to buy into the 2-item spike of the Lucian a little bit more because they're not going to find as easy inroads in the lane.
And like I said, you know, getting the first strike builds you up towards the 2-item side, but you get the extra bit of cash. If you can proc it enough, it will get you closer to that 2 items, like you mentioned, a little bit quicker. And We have to kind of see where these junglers end up kind of focusing their efforts, because Akabane has been almost exclusively going bot side, whereas Xiao has been a bit more flexible. He's been a bit more willing to go with the flow of the game and to see what's the best for his team.
Well, that's when we return back to this control ward in inventory for Xiao. I actually feel like in this game, if Wukong falls behind, you have such a torrid time because you have less ability to disengage than the rest of your team, and Wukong doesn't really have the choice of kind of running out here. Getting vision onto Akabane early, potentially putting him behind, is a very promising prospect from BDS Academy. If Akabane falls behind, that's a very difficult thing for Game Ward to rectify.
Yeah, he's not going to get bailed up any of his lanes with how they've been going currently, so it does give Xiao free reign really to try and challenge. For now, though, we'll be able to clear up his Raptors pretty comfortably, but bot lane is where we're starting to see the issue. Crownie and Doty have built up that wave, harassing them quite heavily. There's already a 10 CS deficit, and shit, level 3 has been hit, but you know, it's not started off well for Inax and Camilius.
And this is something which BDS Academy haven't typically done in summer. They haven't played early game through Crownie. He has been there as late game insurance. Now we started to see a little bit more. This team has started to evolve. Some of the things that we thought we knew about this team have been a little different, especially the way that Rika's been playing. He's been going off of those roaming picks again, back onto the mages, which he started some with, to less success. BDS, they're starting to become a more complete package throughout this Amazon EU Masters run.
See if they can keep their complete package completely undeterred, as we are going to have the bubble miss, sadly for them, as Inax just get polymorphed. They're going to flash in, not going to quite get the auto attack down. Inax just about stays alive, and first blood goes over to Game Ward.
So close there, but Akabane coming in is enough to turn it in favor of Game Ward. You see the up from burst, disgusting from Lucian Nami at level 3 with that combo, but the extended trade, that's where it starts to get a little bit messy, right? Lucian with no cooldowns isn't really offering much, but the jungler is there, the kill is secured, and the lane is in a bit of a better position than it was before.
So where have we seen this before? This bot lane getting a little bit far behind from BDS Academy, getting punished early. Now, of course, they did have that CS advantage, but what's typically happened after this point is that, yes, the jungle will go down bot side, but then the rest of the map starts just tearing up their laning phase, allowing Xiao to just be on the top side of the map. BDS Academy now waiting for that counterpunch to see where Xiao can strike first.
We have a look at the replay here as well, because again, it's good from Crownie from Inax to kind of bait Crownie in to kind of say, look, we know we can take this fight because we have our jungler in the wings.
Yeah, and I mean, it is close in the end. Crownie really trying to find that final kill, but
so close.
Ends up getting baited in, but just a good job, good read from Akabane, and kind of a decent bait from Inax. Yes, it was close, but it ends up working out in favor. You really need to be starting getting momentum on that Lucian if you want to be driving forwards, because I think a big part of how this composition is going to play in the mid game is going to be around Inax leading the charge, looking for picks, looking for poke, and that's when Shekelad can start to come in with the Corki as well. Straight 5v5s, there may be some problems, but if you chunk out BDSA, they'll struggle to really deal with you.
But still managed to stack up that wave. Akabane is now down here again, seeing this huge amount of minions starting to rack up. Lucian can clear through these pretty effectively with early levels of Piercing Light. You have a much better wave clear with your basic abilities than many other AD carries. So they can probably trim this wave, hold it in front of this tower. Now, Crownie and Adote actually in a little bit of a difficult spot. Xiao's having to be called down to respond to it. Might be setting up for a 3v3 brawl.
Looking for it. There's still a big wave, so Inax won't want to be tanking that one up for too long. Or Dote puts Xiao into the bot side, unseen for the moment. And again, like you said, just called in to make sure they can get this wave to crash. And I don't mind the play coming out from Game Ward, but BDSA, they're kind of wise to the tricks right now. Again, like they're 2-0 up. They don't need to take crazy risks into this bot lane. So they're kind of saying, look, we have a feeling your bot lane's here, so we're not going to try and overforce it.
And you've still got dominant top lane. Naz can be pushing in, potentially hitting that turret because you can't really stop the Naz from doing that. Mid lane's at parity, and I think you're okay at that. At least Shekelad inside of Game is finally kind of able to survive one of these laning phases. But BDS Academy, I think they're happy if nothing is really happening. I think it favors them in the rest of the map if you have to cool down resources to bot lane like this.
Well, nothing happens. A lot of people down that bot side, but nothing ends up kind of coming to fruition for the moment. And BDSA, again, like you said, is happy to let this kind of laning phase continue because they have the winning matchups in both top and bot.
This is where things get a bit more interesting though in the bot lane, because now with a minute until the Herald, you start to think, okay, can we find Prio? Can we find an angle where we can reset, move towards the Herald and start to set up for that? Or are we going to keep each other trapped in the lane and then leave it down to a 3v3 on the other side? One of the big changes that took Corki out of the meta is your initial package is at 10 minutes, not 8 minutes. You don't have it available for that first Herald. So for Game Ward, you're happy to kind of stall out the Herald until 10 minutes, whereas BDSA, if you want to get it without dealing with that big threat from the Corki, it's kind of this window you need.
And then also the respawn on packages, the other thing that was really affected, right? It's not every 5 minutes, every 6 minutes. You're not always going to get it for every Dragon fight, especially if they're being taken on spawn. Big fight on the bot side.
Yeah, Erdote just like a huge chunk of health bar, but he trades it back up to Inax, who does blow the cleanse, and this is kind of coming down to, again, just having that laning phase come into you, as we can see Akabane now up towards this top side. Oh, they don't get the knock up, they get the flash away, but he's eventually going to be taken out. You would imagine Adam has nowhere to go. They give that one over to Melodic because he had got the Ignite from the Summoner Spellbook.
Yeah, find a beautiful route. He actually saw BDSA opening up, trying to look for this angle. There's Herald getting Scuttle, because Akabane managed to sneak in towards the top lane, punish Adam. It means they can't really go for that right now.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Pictures on both sides of the map. There we go.
Guess that just happened.
I mean, that is how Nami Lucian do. That is just why it's such a terrifying bot lane, why we've seen it consistently banned. It can just blow you up.
But this is a lot more what we've wanted to be seeing from Game War for most of the series. We've wanted to see them put these lanes behind, get Akabane really onto the map in a way that he has defined his team's performance at this competition and in the LFL as well. And suddenly Adam has been punished for overshoving. Even though he has the dominant 1v1, he can be left in a lurch when he's been left in his own, pushing on a little bit. So we've known from him even back in the LEC. And then Crownie just not safe in that 1v1. And it's actually too brutal.
Spoiler, he died after that, yeah.
No, he's just gone upstate to the
he's on the farm.
Crownie farm.
Yeah, the Crownie farm.
He recalled, went back
he's
to
an
base,
carry.
and
He
everything
loves farming. He loves farming. That's just how it works. But we're going to jump back into see that the Rift Heart was taken by BDSA, so they will have first push on that. I'm curious to see if Shiho will go towards the Chemtech Chainsword as his first item. We do see it as kind of a generic stats stick for them on the side of any real Vi player. Just gives you a very good setup for it, but this is going to be interesting now to see where BDSA kind of come back to this. For the first time, we're seeing Game War come out the blocks very, very fast, very willing to kind of go for those plays. And honestly, for the first time, you know, since Game 2, honestly, or Game 1 first play, Akabane feels like he's back. Yeah,
and I feel like, especially if BDSA have this Herald in pocket, want to get some momentum, getting Fierce Dragon can be so big because, of course, we don't get to sync the packages as easy with the Dragon, but Dragon's become a much bigger concern later in the game. You know, if Game would manage to get the first couple, it's so hard to start denying them when that package can be available. So I want to see BDSA look for a window to use the Herald, but also capitalize on the fact that your bot lane has, for the most part, had pressure and lean into that Dragon. We'd see Shio doing that now.
But the thing about the Dragon, then also about stacking them later into the game, is actually BDS Academy have been very decisive when they wanted to find fights. They've not ended up half-hearting it much. They've found the right angles. And if you do that against a Corki, that does have the longer cooldown on the package now, you can catch Game Ward sleeping, but Adam caught again.
I mean, caught sleeping is one way to put it. Adam just not given any space right now. He's going to try and get himself away from it, but he has got the hyper proc, so he knows with the fleet footwork he's going to be fine. But while this is all happening, BDSA are getting their objectives. They're getting towards that Dragon.
Guys, we said to Melodic he had to survive the top lane matchup, right?
Thriving.
He's absolutely doing fantastic right now. Adam really being caught off guard by that knock-up, and obviously just survived, just managed to back away, but Melodic doing far better this game than he has this series.
I am really surprised that Chocolate has picked up that package now, because, yeah, I know you want to use it at some point, but this is 5 minutes till the next Dragon. It's not going to be up for the next Herald, and what we just talked about in terms of the timing of these packages are very important. You need to make a power play now. If BDS Academy have been the decisive team in this semi-final, Game On need to find some now.
Yeah, they need to go for it. They're going to try and jump on the crown. He's got a huge shield on top of him, but with the tidal wave coming in, the Wild Growth is not enough, and that's going to be Inax picking himself up another one. Checolad looking to try and put the icing on the cake, and Checolad will try and just kind of keep this wave here. They haven't crashed it just yet, and they have got shield coming in, so you got to be very careful. He doesn't quite get the knockback where he wanted it to. He's trying to use it again. Erdote survives. Checolad flashes. One more auto attack, but the Lulu strikes back.
Now with the package, yes, you got to be decisive. That's something else, though. It goes in, trades to the 1-for-1. Sure, more gold for Corki, I guess.
You have to type in all chat. You can say, wait, right? There's nothing else you can say in that situation. And actually, Camillus was even tanking the tower for him. Otherwise, Checolad would have just immediately pretty much died. But yeah, not the most optimal package play we've seen, I will definitely say, but something now.
Mane. Okay, gets the Chaos Storm out of Reeker. Reeker on this Victor with a first strike is pretty big.
Yeah, he's pretty strong, but someone who really is starting to thrive is Inax and Camillus, right? Mandate complete for the Nami, Gale Force for the Lucian. This is where you get into like true one-shot territory, so Crownie has to be pretty careful here because he might be getting collapsed on. Or
Shio's hit,
it's
though.
the other way.
It's the other way around.
It is the other way around. They're going to be able to turn onto him, though. The culling is fantastic, and they might be able to turn this back one onto the Vi. See Shio just using the Lulu to get herself back, but this is the power of the Lucian.
So there you go. We did say, oh, you know, kind of hard at level 1, level 2, but the mid-game's going to be really cool. Well, turns out mid-games happen at about 12 minutes and 30 seconds. They've absolutely slammed Crownie into the dirt.
Well, they're going to see Reeker. Doesn't have the Chaos Storm just yet, but now Shio in this mid lane. They're not quite able to take out Akabane just yet, but yeah, you're nowhere for you to go, and Adam will eat you up. Oh, nummy, 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 nummy. Should not be able to survive from that. As I say that, there is a blast cone, so nope, never mind to keep himself safe, but now we're going to have a engage in the mid lane. Melonic trying to get on top of Reeker, who flashes away. Game Ward not to be outdone, but despite the kill lead, they're only 500 gold ahead, and you can see that they're trying so very hard, Nightmare, but it's just not giving them far enough.
No, and I kind of get that you want to be playing around your point of power right now, but when you don't have your Lucian at the fight, what are you going to do? Because this is what happens when the Lucian is at the fight. This stuff happens. People start just evaporating.
Yeah, doing quite a bit of damage, I think it's safe to say, at this point, and just a bit of an overstep on this side of the map from the Wukong, but I mean, fair play is the fact that despite how badly this kind of went for Game Ward, because BDSA committed so many resources to the top side, they actually ended up not being able to capitalize on the Herald, so sure, we do see the Wukong go down, but no Herald charge. It's
cunning plan.
All planned, all thought out ahead, and ultimately I think Game Ward pretty happy with that passage of play.
That's a good point, actually. You know, Herald not even going to be able to take down that mid lane outer turret to the point where actually one wave would end up being enough to kill that tower with some champions nearby. And when you have two very high wavelet compositions between the mid laners and the AD carries, that becomes relevant. Particularly second Herald becomes this mid lane killing thing.
It's a zoning ult, zoning ult.
Yeah, he just wanted to try and get it, but then he didn't want to go fully into it.
I believe Shox calls that one the dulling.
The dolly. I like that, actually. That's
like
really
that
good.
It's that one and the Super Mega Meth Rocket are my favorites.
Well, what's no laughing matter is Reeker actually turning around this fight in the mid lane. Akabane thought he might have been able to get something going with the Cyclone, but again, very difficult to make this one stick. Adam getting to be able to kind of harass Melonic, and Adam's just having a field day right now. Apart from that one gank on top side, he's just having a fine time to keep the Ornn in the lane.
And this is what is going to eventually happen is there'll come a point where Adam will be such a pertinent threat in the side lane, Ornn won't be able to handle him easily and will just be kind of like, okay, I'm going to wave clear, but please can we start a fight now? Otherwise I'm just going to start losing structures.
Yeah, and that's going to be something which I'm looking at in terms of how BDS Academy look to start fights on their own. They can win through side lanes, obviously. I think when you have the ability for Gnar to do pretty well in both of these side lane matchups, even. I think that Corki can struggle at some points, ends up wave clearing. But if Corki is called to a side lane, that's a big enough problem in its own right. But one thing that we were talking about right from draft is, okay, you've got the range, you've got damage, but there are ways onto your carries, and though you have some disengage, if I ever find the right target, things get very, very rough. And I don't think I've seen enough from Game Ward right now to say that their carries are going to be safe in the fights when we start erupting in the next kind of couple of item spikes.
And the big thing I'm looking at right now is that yes, Game Ward are getting the Rift Arrow, but you now down 2 dragons against BDSA. So BDSA are the ones getting the first turret. They're also the ones getting the pressure in the mid lane and the top side. So this is Game Ward kind of saying, look, what can you use this Herald for?
Yeah, and what dragons to get as well, right? A Mountain and Infernal, the percentage armor and the percentage MR and also percentage aggressive stats as well means BDSA should be in a pretty comfortable spot. And now Game Ward are looking towards this top side to try and make something happen, but even if they get this tower, I still feel like BDSA pretty happy with how this sort of early game has panned out so far.
So you see that Inax is now being kind of moved around the map as a wrecking ball, and he kind of needs to be, right? Because anywhere where Adam is, you are losing HP on structures. Maybe the Lucian Nami can still hold that to account. Shakalad, you do not have safe information for this.
No, he does not. He's going to try and get over the wall and use the stopwatch, but you can see they actually try to get Crownie in there with the Gale Force. They did not realize the literal rest of Game Ward were up on this top side. You can see that Shio using that mobility on the Vi to get himself up. But look at the bot side. Look at Reeker. He's PvE. He's just constantly pushing in the bot side saying, look, I'm going to call your bluff because I don't think you're going to get more than just one tower.
He's putting time pressure on them, so now they're looking towards his mid lane tower, but the ult comes down from Crownie. They'll get the tower, but they won't get anything more from it. And ultimately, again, BDSA, like I saw Shio getting collapsed on by 5 members. I thought he was gone, manages to make it out.
I mean, getting that mid lane out of turret is still relevant, particularly when you have, again, these compositions with lots of wave clear to be parked in the mid lane.
Chocolat uses the package, gets the Chaos Storm out, but I gotta call it out because Chocolat has not been exceptional with these massive power spikes and really finds himself in a bad situation now. Adam lands a spaceship right into him. They are thematically the same. And at the end of the day, a big old space monster's gonna win.
Look, I'm gonna be real. It is more difficult to sync up your package with dragons. That is no excuse for this, right? There should be at least some semblance of we're trying to make sure we have a package for a dragon at some point in the game.
Yeah, especially that first dragon, I was like, the first package rather, I'm like, hang on, what are you doing this for? Seen a second one now, and like, Corki at the start of the year was fairly easy to play around it. There was a great interview with Yamato Cannon on Fnatic back in spring of times. Like, yeah, it just makes these timings easy to play around. The whole team knows what's going to happen. It's less easy than that nowadays.
Akabane
is just, giving it a chance.
He's going to try it, though, but you still have Inax and you still have Camilius in here to get the wild growth down. The tidal wave is good, but all the way back down. Shut down. Shio gets himself a kill. Akabane now ignited, slowed in, flashes away. They're trying to just fully retreat here as Melodic
tower shot.
Not quite able to get himself and his jungler out. He might be able to continue his own retreat, but this is all starting to unravel so quickly right now because top, we're having a bit of a 1v1. It's a flash in. It's another one. Adam! Are you joking me right now, you little yordle man?
Man manages to get the kill, and you see Chocolat trying to answer, but at the end of the day, you're not doing that much damage on the Corki with your autos. Both of them flashing to try and find the outplay, but Adam comes out ahead. BDSA coming out far ahead in this game.
Oh, Chocolat has had such a rough game so far. Really struggled to land the early playmaking tools. Now in the side lane being exploited by Adam. Once again, Adam in the side lane on an individual 1v1 matchup, which he's running away with.
And look, we've had a recurrent theme. Once again, Inax!
Inax, he's taking so much damage, and there is no respite in your own jungle. Without those 2 towers, you don't have vision control.
I think we've all seen what a Victor can do to a Lucian. There is a very famous play where we all remember, and I mean, Rika just absolutely annihilates him, but now you're starting to lose pressure, right? Inax falling down, your point of power struggling, mid tower going down, and I'm gonna be real, once again, they've set Crownie very far behind 0-4. It just doesn't seem to matter. BDSA have regained control of this game.
You're trying to say that, like, you know, Game World are losing pressure. They're losing the game. This game is unraveling before our eyes.
They're losing
right
the series.
Yeah, they're also losing the series as we go right the way back, because this Game Ward just try and overforce this right now. So Inax and Camilla is hard forced, but again, you have a Lulu. It's so difficult to get that damage to stick.
Yeah, I think at the start of that play, you could see a little bit of what we were worried about in terms of actually Wukong can struggle on the engage. You don't have the non-committal nature of the Ornn ultimate or the Culling, which can play at range. And Akabane is effectively not able to affect this play after the start of that. Lucian has to do some heavy lifting, and then, of course, left in a side lane, Nara is very happy to take this. And
just auto attacks. He's just bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, so nicely done.
If Adam flashes to dodge a rocket,
we're gonna have to stop you right there because Akabane's been found. He has not been killed just yet. Never mind, he's gonna be killed just now. Never mind, he goes in. They get a nice big ultimate there from Melodic and a good bubble that stops the Gnar from getting at anything. A bit of a turnaround right there. Chocolat trying to move forward, but you do not have a lot more in the tank. You got to be so careful here. Game Ward, they smell it. This is their one opportunity.
I feel like that play only makes sense if Game Ward have River Knot. I don't get how this Wukong survived, but they're looking for more.
They're looking for more. Melodic refuses to go quietly out of this game, out of this series, and he is trying to drag his kicking and screaming team by the scruff to a victory. They back away, everyone away from this dragon, but now you can see Shio. He's trying to see if he can maybe work something here onto the Corki. Chocolat just playing bouncer, and Game Ward survive. Game Ward not out of this just yet.
They managed to just about outmuscle BDS Academy out of their own bot side jungle. And at the start of this, again, I was wondering, like, okay, it's another difficult Wukong moment. This is kind of awkward, but just about gets away with it. Miraculously, I think you're right there, Orcs. Actually, yeah, if you have something like a Renata, you can buy enough space, you can get those resets. The Nami Tidal Wave does a pretty okay job in its stead, though, by just enough time.
I'm amazed he actually managed to live that. Like, they all went the wrong way, but, like, I was so certain he was dead. I was like, yeah, this is just a free pick, but the answer comes in, and the Melodic, again, Rika, this is the thing with the Victors, flashless. You get caught by CC and you're gonna get punished.
And again, it's still an Ornn. This is what we talked about in draft. You're on Ornn duty, but at the same time, you're still powerful.
He's on Ornn duty.
Yeah, it's not you're on Ornn duty. You're on Ornn duty. You have the privilege of it. And it does feel like right now, like a couple of comedy of errors, I think, for BDSA in that last passage of play. Adam didn't land the ultimate. That didn't really do anything at all. The perfect corridor for a tidal wave and an Ornn horn to hit everyone on the backside as well. So little things like that have to go their way. You just get 2 kills on a dragon, it's still an uphill battle.
Yeah, it's still going to be fairly difficult for Game Ward. You've now got a Hullbreaker second on the Gnar, so Adam's happy to sit in the side lane and has already been winning those side lanes. At this point, you're going to be in real danger of Adam taking 1v2s, which he potentially might find himself in on the spot side. A lot of members from Game Ward able to respond towards it, but the BDS Academy more than happy to rely on Adam to do the heavy lifting for them when the game gets tough.
I think a big point that we can hone in on, because, you know, we talked about the Lucian being a pretty significant spike at this point in the game. The Corki level...
Should be fine.
Level 16 for Corki is such a massive spike because the AD ratio on your rockets goes up. At 16, it goes to 75% on a small one, 150% on a big one.
They're going to force the tidal wave out, so now they have to see that Game Ward. They really didn't want to have to use that big key ultimate. You know how powerful it can be in a team fight, and they've already wasted it just to try and keep Chocolat alive. So Chocolat not having the best of series right now. Crowny goes in onto Inax, who's forced to cleanse after using the Gale Force defensively, but we're going to have the Vine going in straight away. The Chaos Storm is good. The Moonlight Vigil goes completely whiffing as Reeker now left all on its own. So Melonic is TP'd in, and he wants a little bit more of this fight. They're going to get Shiho, and yes, you're losing on bot side, but your Gnar is in there. You can turn for Baron.
And this time it's the Victor flashing in and dying. Thinks they have the burst, think they've got the ultimate, but they overestimate. The disengage does come in even without the tidal wave. Game Ward, they take the fight that's presented to them. They're going to walk away with the Baron. They're losing in this bot lane on the side lane, though. Adam doing work.
Oh, TP. Where's that to?
They're going for the fight here.
There's very low health bars right now, and you've just used all your ultimates, so Adam is huge, and Adam does have flash should he find an opportunity. He's going to try and 1v5 this right now, and he finds the back line. Adam shall not be denied. Adam will make sure BDSA do not lose a game at the Amazon EU Masters.
And just when Game Ward think they have found their route back into the series, they set up on the Baron. Adam comes in clutch, slams him into the wall, and delivers the Baron on a plate to his team.
This guy, this top laner, gets a pentakill in the group stage. Insane laning stats, insane damage per minute. And after this series, after the quarterfinals, you really got to start asking these questions. Is this guy the tournament MVP? He has taken this entire team onto his back at the end of that play.
And this is a great fight from Game Ward. It's exactly what they need. It's an overextension. You don't have the Gnar here, but they just take too much because they're just that bit far behind that by the time they get to the Baron, you can see already the health bars, they're just not there, Ox.
Yeah, and I mean, the fact that he TP's in with the Mega Gnar as well. Melonic tries to play Bruce, but look, they stop hitting the Baron because they don't want to be in the pit. But the flash from Adam connecting onto that bot lane, both of them caught in. Just beautiful play, but beautiful game sense to read that you can make this happen for your team.
It's just perfect timing, right? Because you can understand that, oh, maybe you don't teleport in because you just accept that you've lost the fight. But to say, actually, no, Baron's not going down. We've got a chance to play this out. And having the time to make that big play, it's very heads-up play. It's very intelligent play. BDS Academy, they are looking very, very sharp in this game.
I mean, Adam has just been a tier of his own. I know there's all this talk about top fives in different tournaments in different regions, but in this tournament, it's just Adam and the rest. There's, you know, it just doesn't feel like anyone else has really come close to the guy in the top side. And it just, right now, you need something here. You need something to work for you right now, but with a Lucian, a Lulu, there's so little you can do to make this damage stick, and you have to be putting yourself in harm's way.
And you start to see Inax is falling off the curve, right? Before able to one-shot people, burst them out. Now, you know, Edote, lowest level in the game, one of the squishiest champions, isn't really able to do much still. You can see a lot of rocket damage from Chocolat, but you have to be so cautious. You overstep once, that Vi is coming for you, and Shio with 3k HP does not care if there's towers in the way. He will take you down.
Get the bot lane tier 3. And leave the inhibitor there. They're going to back themselves up. Dragon is available. Put themselves on the soul point right now.
Adam is 3 levels above Alive,
Oh my
by the
word.
way. He's level 17. Inax, who was obviously pretty fed earlier, is level 12. That is such a disparity.
I was going to say, like, yes, he's 3 levels ahead of Malonic. That is correct. He's 3 levels ahead of everybody who could even come close to him. No one else is even there past level 14. So Adam is his own force of nature.
And also, particularly for Mini-Gnar, a lot of people don't know this, because I didn't know this until, like, someone said this on Twitter a couple of months ago. Mini-Gnar actually scales basic attack range with level. Now you're up here at level 17, you're actually a pretty long-range character, and with Hullbreaker, with the Wit's End, the ability to chase down, get those additional autos, it can really take you by surprise. And when they get to split the map like this as well, threaten across the map, whenever a fight starts, you have to ask yourself, what is Adam getting done on the map?
And I love what Shio's doing right now. He's just roaming around trying to find someone to hurt because he's got a Warmog. So even if he just has to get out, and then he's able to heal up again. Oh, Ardurte does not have that same luxury, so he still needs to be very careful.
I feel like one of the things with the Gnar as well, when you're ahead, and this is one of the issues with the durability change, is that Mini-Gnar became so bulky, you have the percentage HP on your W, but still, you just do so much damage. Even if Adam isn't in Mega, if he just runs at Inax, he will solo him. He will just beat him in the 1v1. He is that strong right now, so obviously a big cause for concern.
They actually just gave the Grom to Ardurte to give him the heal so he can stay out on the map. I have never seen anyone give a Grom to a support to do that before.
Play right there.
That's great.
Is team play. But look, Adam, check out that. What are you going to do?
Good luck with this.
Round 2, he's going to try and get a 1v1, but you're not going to be able to survive. Gets the GA. Adam wins that round, regardless of Malonic coming into it or not. Now they've used the exhaust from Malonic as well. Reeker's killed off Akabane on the top side of the map, as the rest of BDS are just taking over the game. Flash forward from Reeker as he wants to kill off Inax, who cleanses, who flashes, but Adam is behind you like the monster under your bed. He gets you when you least expect it.
Finds the kill again with the aggression. We've seen Rika on this Victor, this mage you expect to be playing the backline, going so aggressive, and it is paying dividends. They're leaning towards the top side to try and see if they can find some more, but I think they will back. Oh, actually, TP coming in. They're going for more right now.
Look at the map. Look at the map. The Fi is
Rika's
chasing the
TP as
Nami.
well. Rika's going to TP as well.
The Nami's not here. You don't have Camilius to be able to help out your team, to dissuade anyone from going in, to heal up your players. So BDSA are saying, cool, you're not even just one man down, you're several men down.
Camilius just assist pinged.
Yeah. Well, he's dead, and he knows he's dead. They're just keeping him here. 1, 2, doesn't even throw the punch. That's how powerful it was. The thought of it was enough.
I just want to say we don't condone bullying on the E-Masters stream.
But what style BDS are closing out this game, closing out this series. It was a redemption arc in the quarters. They're carrying it forward to Chapter 2 in the semis, potentially bringing it through to another chapter to close it.
I mean, this is it. You've got the package. You've got an opportunity. Reeker with no flash, but no really way for Inax to get on top of this. Adam flashes forward and says, like you guys were mentioning, I'm mini, but I'm still absolutely huge. He's trying to move up towards Mega before he can get on top of Akabane, who can't really run away. He has to flash back onto his own fountain, and Adam versus the world, 1v4, and he might still be able to get out alive. He's going to be very close to going down, but the Lulu helps him out, because Adam does not care. Adam does not mind. Neither does Shio as he goes on top of the fountain. BDSA remain undefeated in the Amazon EU Masters Summer 2022.
And I'm going to be real, they beat them game 1, they beat them game 2, but game 3 they styled on them.
It was